Well, Black Friday can be seen as one of those official marks of the start of the silly season, a time of the year when people tend to spend, or should I say overspend. It often leads to a great deal of anxiety too for many struggling consumers. For more on the story, I'm joined by a psychologist at Zipho Mhlongo. Zipho, good evening to you. Thanks for your time tonight. The reality is that it's been a very difficult year economically for many South Africans, and undoubtedly the festive season is going to reflect part of that difficulty. Zipho, perhaps you can talk to us about just what it is that people have to keep in mind in order to ensure that their mental wellness is really at the core of how they're dealing with whatever challenges the festive season may bring.
Good evening, Kathy, and good evening to Newzroom Afrika viewers. Indeed, the festive season, it's a joyous time. Everyone wants to relax, you know, after a very hard and toiling year. So everyone wants to just, put their feet down and really have a good time with loved ones. So while it is a very lovely time, it can also be quite, anxiety provoking, particularly because, as parents or caregivers, you want to do the best for children. You want to reward them for doing well academically. You want to also just please them for all their hard work. So sometimes it can be very overwhelming even for caregivers. So it's very important at this particular time to still have fun, but also be very boundaried, have a certain level of prudence, particularly when it comes to finance, so that you do not find yourself, having worries, in January.
It can be, again, very difficult to rein in spending when, of course, there's so much pressure and expectations of what to do and what it means to truly unwind. Zipho, what advice would you have for people, especially around how to have the difficult conversations? And here, this is really saying spending less so that they can be a bit more as people then also get ready to start off a brand new year that will have its own expectations and costs.
Indeed. So I think one of the things that are very important for people to be mindful of is that you don't need to spend in order to have a good time. You do not need money in order to have a good time. There are many ways in which you can have very fulfilling moments without spending. But of course, people want, as I said earlier, people want to enjoy themselves. But the important thing is to be very mindful of not overspending. So, for instance, one of the things that we often encourage, particularly parents, to instill in children is the ability to be more sentimental rather than materialistic. So if children know that, say, at the end of the term, maybe I go for a picnic with my parents, after, doing well, even at the end of the year, a child will not have so much expectations, maybe wanting a new PlayStation or, an expensive pair of sneakers. They know that, just going for a picnic with parents, or going to visit, other cousins or relatives, that in itself, is fun. That in itself is rewarding. So while it's all good and well to spend, but it's very important to be very measured and to be very careful around, overspending, so that you do not find yourself, having unnecessary debt and regrets, when the year starts. Because the reality is, after festive season, you still need to continue to live. And therefore, it's very important to also be mindful of, needs versus wants. So the things that you need, make sure that you have those. And if you can afford, of course, go for, that holiday, or you go for, spoil yourself, with the latest gadget. But you do not have to do things, especially, as we speak of Black Friday, a lot of people have this sort of impulse to spend. I would say, this is a fairly new phenomenon. Black Friday in South Africa, several years ago, we did not even know this thing. So a lot of people spend because they fear missing out. I would say take advantage of it, exploit, Black Friday if you had a particular, need, or if you wanted to purchase something, but you do not have to spend when you actually do not have to.
At the same time, this period, while adding pressure to those who are employed, who have money to spend more, there's also the reality facing those that are unemployed and that really are waiting for some kind of breakthrough on that front. Let's speak about how to navigate that, because it can also be a period that highlights, the incredible amount of lack that exists in our society.
Yeah. Yes, that's indeed one of the unfortunate, realities of the society that we live in. That some people at this time, they also want to enjoy themselves. They also want to buy certain things, but because they do not have, they feel that they are limited and they cannot, enjoy. Again, I would like to just emphasize that you really do not have to spend money in order to have a good time. Many years ago, most of us when we were little kids, sitting around, the Christmas tree, and, our grandmother would, wrap sweets and, knickknacks around a piece of paper and should give each one of us. That sentiment was very beautiful. And, having things like that, those gestures, those things are meaningful, and they can be very rewarding to people. So again, in as much as people may have a desire to purchase and they may not have the ability, it does not mean they do not get to enjoy, the festive season and the whole culture, of this period. They can still enjoy it, with loved ones, in very modest ways.
All right, so it's not just about spending, but also about creating memories. Psychologist at
Exactly.
Psychologist Zipho Mhlongo.